Well, hello good people. Part 2 of fixing the Vauxhall brakes. I want to remove the fuel tank in a moment, but before that I'm going to swap the axle stands over. Those little blue axle stands look about as unstable as Emily Maitlis, and I'm going to put these monsters in their place. I made these when I was an apprentice, so I suppose 40 something years ago. Everything on this channel seems to be from years ago, including me. I'm going to remove the front wheels and drums now. So that was one of the reasons for changing the axle stands, so I can jack the front of the car up and put it on some blocks, and it'll all be pretty rigid still without any chance of falling off. Of course, the wheels need undoing before I jack the car up. Right, we're all squashed into quite a tight space here, so you'll have to bear with me. I've taken the drum off the other side already. There wasn't room enough for all of us, so I just went and did it without the camera. Anyway, this should come apart fairly easily. Famous last words. This cap is normally screwed on the end. I unscrewed it already. Then there's just a split pin and a nut. There it is, just a castellated nut like so. I don't need quite as long a pusher on the front hubs, so I just found another old rusty bolt, which should work. It worked on the other side. Well, that was easy. I've had a good look at the linings on this side and the other side. Very small amount of contamination on them. I'm just going to clean that off. These shoes are cast steel or cast iron. I painted them, obviously, when I had them off last time with red oxide. It's all looking quite good, given that, using that expression I used too much 20-something years ago, it was last looked at. Anyway, let's exercise the brake. You see, the brake lever, as it goes backwards, it actually moves upwards. I'll copy some pictures out of the shop manual and try and explain how it works in a bit. It's probably easier than trying to do it here in the shed. Anyway, there's nothing wrong with those, so they're just going to have a clean and be put back together again. The Edwardian Vauxhall, this is a D-type chassis of First World War era, had rear-wheel brakes only, operated by lever, the normal brakes to use, and a foot-operated transmission brake. The Vauxhall 1440 M-type had rear-wheel brakes only, but two sets of shoes. The outer rods operated by the handbrake lever, and the inner rods operated by foot pedal. The later LM series, like what mine is, also had front brakes operated by the foot pedal. The front brake mechanism is ingenious, if a little complicated. Pulling on the end of lever A causes drum B to rotate and the three little pins at C to stand upright. This causes drum B to move upwards, taking the brake lever with it. The rocking shaft, D, rotates about its axis, pushing down on the pins E. Looking from the side, we see the rocker shaft D moving downwards, pushing the two angled pins and therefore pushing the brake shoes apart. Fine adjustment is given by that worm and wheel arrangement marked F, although curiously the illustrator has got the two parts muddled up. The wheel can't turn the worm. Right, let's have a look at these on the bench. It's offside and near side. Now, the offside, that's one of the hubs, replacement hubs from the pile of gruesome parts from the hedge in Herefordshire. The only one I didn't actually change was this. That's one of the Australian ones. That's the other one out of the hedge. It's got quite a lot of pitting there. I would use it though. It's perfectly okay and it would clean up. But this one was all right and the splines weren't bad. The other front one had fairly ropey splines, so I swapped it. That's this one. Anyway, what's more interesting is I also fitted sealed bearings. The bearings were fairly shot, and of course that screw-on cover that I had undone first, that's really a grease cover, and obviously there would have been a felt seal somewhere in the back here behind this cover. But I went down to see a chap at Hale near Penzance when I was doing these bearings back in 2004, and he overhauls electric motors. I don't know whether he's still there. He was on the quayside at Hale, rather a splendid shop he had, and he said these sealed bearings were absolutely marvellous things, and he was fitting them to conveyor belts that sort of live in quarries in the rain and work for years on end, and he said they would never cause me any trouble in my vintage car. They certainly feel all right. I've twiddled them all round. I'm not going to do anything other than give these a quick clean and I suppose a coat of black paint. Because they're off the car, they'll probably stay on the car again for quite a long time, given that I'm a maintenance minimalist. Get the tank out, one has to take the exhaust out of the way. Fortunately, when I made this exhaust many years ago, I put a flange joint just ahead of the silencer muffler. Fortunately, it doesn't do much silencing, and used brass nuts and all the rest of it. So it's all undone. So the exhaust is now hanging so the tank can come down. The exhaust actually bolts to the bottom of this tank strap, and until one takes the exhaust out of the way, one cannot undo the tension on these two straps that go under the tank, and then have a 5/16 BSF thread going up into this block at the top. But they've been loosened off, so I just want to drain the fuel, undo that union there, then these two bolts can come out, and hopefully the tank will come down and we can move it out of the way. It hasn't got very much fuel in, so it shouldn't take long to drain. I doubt it's got a gallon in there. That fuel's red because it's the stuff I drained out of the thruster a while back. This car ends up drinking all the slightly dodgy fuel I might drain out of anything else, because it just doesn't seem to mind. It's the petrol pipe off the top. Can't be too wide or it hits the straps. Right, let's take the strap bolts off. Strap. The other strap. not very heavy at all. Well, if you hid behind the sofa when I put the gas torch to the tank, obviously the tank is full of water and there's going to be no bang. This was a bit of a so-and-so to solder back on, not really a spectator sport. The main thing is, every time you put flux on, the flux removes a lot of dirt. Now the tank is made of leaded steel, and of course it's 100 years old. The lead is thin in places and non-existent in others. When it was new, it would have been really easy to solder up, because the lead and the solder, and this is solder with lead in it of course, want to make a very happy union. But 100 years worth of muck and dirt and corrosion, and it doesn't work so well. So every now and then you just have to stop, wipe it away, clean it with the wire wheel on the drilling machine, just because it really gets you back to bare metal again, and then have another go. Then after a while you can build up a really nice joint. I can see the solder has gone all the way through here, so I'm more than satisfied that's strong enough for the job. It's taken about 30-45 minutes even to do, so it's quite a long-winded job, but I didn't want to leave any gaps, any voids, anywhere where I thought there wasn't solder sealing the joint properly. I haven't flushed the tank out yet. I've merely filled it with water, and in fact whilst filling it with water from the watering can, a snail went straight out of the can into the tank. I think Esso used to say, put a tiger in your tank. I'm not sure what the effect of putting a snail in it, but that wouldn't be my style at all, sir. The tank's had a good rub down and a couple of coats of primer. There's a whacking great dent here and a corresponding one lower down where the tank is tightened up to the cross member. It can stay. I didn't get every last vestige of paint off. There was no point and I was losing the will to live, but it really is good enough. A couple of coats of tractor enamel will finish the job off nicely. We've had almost 2 weeks of astonishingly good weather, and the temperature this week has been over 30 degrees centigrade during the day. Perfect thruster flying weather. I buzzed over to see a friend on Friday night. Unfortunate finger trouble with the GoPro meant the 10 was set to time-lapse. The GoPro 5, bolted under the left wing, vibrated like hell, and the auto-stabilisation in the software couldn't cope with it. That footage was fairly rubbish and mostly deleted. It was the most fabulous evening though. Well, that's the fuel tank with its fittings complete. Paint job isn't marvellous, but not bad. Do be careful what you write in the comments though. Many years ago there was an Austrian whose prowess with a paintbrush was heavily criticised. He got quite upset and later invaded Poland. Well, I've gone as far as I can. Everything's cleaned up. It's a box full of bits from the hub and brake assembly, all cleaned up well. The threads are all good. All the drums are painted. The front drums are back on the car. It was actually easier to paint them on the car anyway, like a rotisserie almost. And I'm waiting for the brake shoes to come back. I've got to go and indulge in the sordid business of earning a living tomorrow, so we'll pick this up again in a couple of weeks. Thanks for watching.